Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I am doing vlog episode 3. I've done 2 so far, and now I'm on to number 3. All right, got some subjects I want to cover. I'll tell you what they are right here in the beginning, and then you can link right to them in the description, kind of the way I like to do this, because there might be some of the stuff you want to just skip over and ignore and get to the stuff you want to hear about. So first one, I'm almost 2,000 subscribers, so I don't know what I'm going to do there yet, but I'll talk about that. I've done 2 endurance events recently, the Schwamigan 40 and the Filthy 50, and I'll talk a little bit about those, and mainly why I didn't film during them this time around. A lot of you know I have a new fat bike. Talk a little bit about that and my plans for it, and I'll give some updates on my property, and after that I'll talk about my new channel. I've mentioned it a few times, but I'll plug it and tell you a little bit about what it's about. It's not bike related, but it's some of my other interests. And I have a new dropper post coming, which I will probably cover a little bit when I talk about my fat bike upgrades. So there you have it. And then at the very end, I'll talk a little bit about what my future plans are, especially going into winter. My channel has to kind of evolve and change a little bit because I'm not out riding as much, so I generally do more maintenance stuff and things like that. Well, I'm already talking about it. I'll talk about that when we get there. All right, let's start with topic number 1. So as of the recording of this video, I have 1,948 subscribers, so I'm almost to 2,000. And so every time I hit these milestones, I always want to do something kind of cool. Last time when I hit 1,000, I gave away my fit frame, fork. There were a couple other parts. I think the crank set. That was a 22-inch BMX setup. I forget the kid's name, but he got it. Seemed super stoked about it. Would be kind of curious if you're still watching my channel. Give me an update on what you think about that bike that you got, or frame and fork and kit, basically kit. Wheels. That's right. It came with the 22-inch wheels too. So basically, it was everything he needed, so he could build a 22-inch with regular standard BMX parts. This time around, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I don't really have anything like sitting around that I can give away or something like that. I think I might want to do a live video when I hit 2,000 and maybe, have you people chat with me and I'll answer your questions, things like that. I'll come up with something. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. But I'll have some kind of giveaway too, which I also don't know what that's going to be. So roughly 52 more people get to that magic 2,000, and then I got to do something. So I don't have a lot of time to come up with it. Cool. So yeah, 2,000. That's a pretty cool deal. I mean, YouTube it's tough. There's channels out there that have like, many subscribers. 500,000, million, even in like the 20, 30K, that's a pretty good number. So 2,000 is still pretty low, but my channel isn't super fancy or overdone or anything like that. It's pretty much straightforward. I don't over edit it. I don't over make things more exciting than they should be or anything. I just do my thing. That's why it's called Shad Life, right? So yeah, but as I go, it's not a linear line. It grows a little faster as more people join. So maybe there's kind of like with YouTube, maybe there's kind of like a point where when you get to a certain point, it just kind of starts to accelerate or something. I have no idea, but we'll find out. So yeah, but I'm pretty excited to be, excuse me, to be at 2,000. So yeah, let's talk about the next subject. So this fall I've done 2 endurance events. The first one was the Schwamigan 40. That's in Wisconsin. It's a race from Hayward, Wisconsin to Cable, and it's mostly on uh, double track or service roads or whatever you want to call them. I mean, they're not really like gravel roads because gravel roads are like usually in farmland and rolling hills and stuff like that. But they are, some of them are gravel. And then double track is like Jeep trail, right? Like grass in the middle and two tracks. And then the Berkey Trail, which is a big wide cut ski trail. So it's kind of mixed terrain. Some of it's grass, some of it's gravel, some of it's dirt. So it's kind of a neat race. But 40 miles, rolling hills, things like that. Um, I didn't film this year. Last year I did film it. You can look right up that way. That corner, I think. I'm looking at myself on the video. Make sure I'm pointing to the right corner. But it's up there if you want to watch last year's Schwamigan 40. It was like, it's really hard to film when I'm doing an event like that because I really want to focus on doing the event. And this year I was set on beating last year's time. Unfortunately, about halfway through the race, it started raining. So I was doing really well. I was well ahead of last year's time. Then it started raining. Last year I got just under 4 hours. I don't remember the exact time, but it was like 3 hours and 57 minutes. Like I barely got under 4 hours. And this year I was just over 4 hours. So I actually was doing really well. Then it rained and there was just 20 some miles of mud fest. Really challenging. And it challenged my resolve. I was like frustrated because I was hoping that it was only going to have rained on one part and then it would go back to being dry. But no, all the way up to Cable was mud and it was like really hard and slippery and you're spinning out and I hate mud. Mud is not fun to ride in, I'm telling you. I know some people love it, but I do not like mud and I certainly don't ride on mountain bike trails in the mud and nobody should because you just destroy the trails. There are some exceptions, yes, the UK, sometimes the North Shore where it's just rains so much that they don't really have a choice, but most trails you don't ride mountain bike trails in the mud because it just ruins them and it ruins the designed side cut to help them last longer and be more sustainable. Won't get into that. Someday I'll talk a bit about that stuff, trail sustainability. I've been meaning to do a video on that. I will do one. So the other event I did, oh, by the way, before I go talk about the other event, here's a picture of me with my bike after being in the mud at the Schwamigan 40. Yeah, pretty gnarly. I was just, it was a mess. Everybody was a mess. But I finished, right? And I guess that's the thing. But it was, I'm not going to lie, it was frustrating and it wasn't as fun as I would have liked it to be. But sometimes just that challenge of getting through something like that is worth it. Like that I know I can push through and get through it, right? Little mental head game side of it. Now on the other front, I did do the Filthy 50. That was just this last weekend. That's a gravel race down in Lanesboro, Minnesota. And when I say race, I don't really race it. I actually rode with my friend Bergie, and her and I agreed that we were just going to ride together. We're pretty equal as far as like speed and ability, so it was pretty cool to have somebody to ride with, and did that in just over 4.5 hours, 50 miles gravel ride, and I rode my new Salsa Fargo. Here's a picture of that bike after I was done. It was so dry and dusty. We just haven't been getting rain up here in the southern half of Minnesota, so that it was so dry and dusty and everything. So my bike, brand new bike, was just totally coated in dust. So yeah, that was a good event. The temps, it was a little cool in the morning, but I mean that's kind of nice when you're working that hard. And had some windy parts, but it wasn't super bad. I did the Meesville 56 in the spring, and it was super windy during the Meesville 56. So even like the 15-mile-per-hour headwinds and stuff that we had during some segments of the Filthy 50 just didn't seem all that bad after experiencing Meesville this past spring. But you know, the headwinds, things like that, it's always part of gravel racing. Is like there's elements out there that really can make it challenging, and you're out in big open farm fields, so the wind just slaps you, and there's no trees, you're not in the woods, things like that. And there's lots of climbing, and because it was so dry, the gravel was like riding on marbles sometimes. So look at how I have my hands because I was on drop bars. But you know, you're on gravel and you're like sliding around, or your wheels are rolling on top of the rocks, and you just kind of learn to move around with the bike and trust that everything's going to be okay. So some challenges, but it was fun. It was a great event. It was fun to have a companion that I could talk to, and we could see the next climb and be like, oh crap, look at that. Or we probably used other words that wasn't the word crap, but this is YouTube and I like my stuff to not get demonetized. Cool. Let's talk about the next subject. So I did a video on my new fat bike. Pretty awesome. It's a carbon salsa muckluck. I wanted to say bear grease, but it's not a bear grease. It's a salsa muckluck. It's a pretty sweet bike. It's a 2020. I got it used, and it needs a little bit of work. Some of the things, actually, I think I have it right here, that I need to do to it are, nope, not in that bag. There's the bag I have. So some of the things I need to do to it are replace the brakes. So I got some new rotors. So, and then I have some new brake pads. And one thing I just got an email about, there's brake pads, yeah, all right, is the SRAM bleed kit just came in, because when your pads wear down, you know, as the pad material wears down, the brakes just like car brakes do this too, right? They automatically readjust and get closer and closer. So then when I put new thicker pads in and new rotors in, the pistons, I should say, need to be pushed back out. And you can sometimes get away with doing it without bleeding the brakes, but it's best to release the fluid, or open up the cap and push the pads back and let the fluid do its thing. And then once you get the pads back, you can, you need to get your rotor back in there and everything. Anyway, I will do it on video and show you how it's done. How about that? That's the plan. So that bleed kit, I just got the email that it's arrived at Angry Catfish. So right after I'm done filming this, I'll run over there and get it. And then I can install the new pads, new rotors, front and rear, and have that part done. Another thing I want to do to that bike, because it doesn't have a dropper post, is I'm going to install a dropper post on it. Well, I'm going to take the dropper post that's off of my Esker Hayduke and put that on my fat bike. There's a reason I'm doing that. My Esker Hayduke is getting upgraded here and there and becoming my just super sweet bike. I mean, it's a titanium frame. It's got carbon rims. It's getting decked out. I've upgraded almost all XT components, things like that. So that's the bike I've been dedicating a bunch of money to and just really upgrading it. And my Salsa Rustler is going to get some upgrades over the winter. Not going to talk about them in this video. I will talk about them probably in vlog episode 4. So yeah, I'm going to put a dropper post. I think it's a SDG or something. It's whatever came on my steel Hayduke when I bought it. And then, of course, I bought the titanium frame. I've done videos about that and swapped out the steel frame, put all the parts on the titanium frame. So it's basically, aside from the wheels, the same bike that I bought stock. So that'll be getting a post, which I'm going to talk about at the end. So the post that's coming on that bike, that's on that bike, is going to go on my fat bike. So I'll have a dropper post on my fat bike because I don't like not having a dropper post. I had a dropper post on my last fat bike and it was super sweet because, yes, in the snow you can still jump and it's super fun. All right, let's go on to the next topic. Oh, by the way, that's a Salsa Makla Carbon um, NX build. So pretty decent, but I'll be upgrading just like I do all my bikes. So we'll see. Maybe I should do the NX to GX upgrade on the rear hub on that if I can find a driver. That is by far my most popular video. The NX to GX update um, blows all my other videos. I think that video has more watches than all the rest of my videos put together. Kind of mind-boggling. Like, just this one video, everybody seems to want to do it. It's also the one that I get people saying, well, you should have had the wrench turn this way, the spanner wrench turn the other way, or you should have done this, or you should have done that. It's kind of funny. Anyway, let's talk about the next subject. What is going on with my property up in Cuyuna? Not a whole lot. Still have my trailer on there. I installed electrical last year. The only major update I have is the well is drilled, but there's no pump on it. So I now have a well, but I don't have a way to get the water out of the ground yet until they install the pump, and I have no idea what's taking them so long. Maybe it's a supply chain thing, maybe they're just too busy, whatever, but that's the plan. Is I should by early next summer, hopefully in the spring or whenever they can get around to it, get the pump on there, so then I have water, because then if I have water and I have electrical and I have a compost toilet up there, which I've talked about, I don't need to take my trailer to empty Blackwater or do any of that. I do have kind of this idea. I haven't sealed any deals yet on getting. There's these cool sheds. The company's actually out of Hayward. They're Amish built, and they're cool little sheds that look like homes. So it's almost like a tiny home concept. Those sheds, I'm thinking about getting one of those and having it on my property. Then I can sell my trailer because I just don't really have a need to have an RV trailer except for staying on my property. And then that shed will be my temporary place to stay up there until I get a home built or a cabin built or whatever plan I'm going to do, because I've just been putting that off until I find just the right deal to do that. So that is my plan up at my property. So pretty cool. The other lots around my lot have all started selling, which is pretty cool. So now I got cool little neighbors and we all know each other now. We've all exchanged numbers, and it's really cool because everybody's really cool. They're all into biking. That's the main reason why people are buying the properties there. So super cool deal. Nice little community up there that I like, and it's kind of fun. So that's my property update. It's been really fun this summer to just be able to ride right onto the trails, because the Sagamore unit is right there and they've got all new trails. And most of them are these adaptive, not most of them, half of them are adaptive trails, which are still pretty fun. Definitely good warm-up trails. I actually do like Syracuse, which is like the adaptive blue trail, but it's more like a green trail to a regular biker. But it's still a pretty fun trail. And then Bison Run. I love Bison Run. It's got a little bit of everything. And so it's pretty cool. I can just ride right to those trails. Dynamite, on the other hand, it's just a little funky. Dynamite's cool in some parts, and then other parts I'm just kind of like, it's like either too challenging, or the jump lines, the way that they're laid out, just aren't lined up properly, or the rhythm isn't set up right. But I have a feeling those things will get fixed over time. So But I think, some people really like dynamite, so that's just my stance on it for my riding abilities. But it is what it is. So, yep, really cool trails up there. And then, of course, I got the whole other trail system to ride. Believe they're saying 75 or so miles of trails there now. So, pretty cool. All right, next topic. Okay, so I decided to start another channel, and I've talked about it a few times. The reason why is because I've done a few things on this channel, like I've done some drone stuff and talked about my new EV, my Bolt EUV, and things like that. And people that have subscribed to this channel or watch this channel don't seem to have a lot of interest in those things. I know, I can tell because I get analytics and people just don't watch those videos much. They're more interested in the biking content. So even though I originally made Shad Life to be about Shad's life, so it could cover anything, I'm realizing I've really talked so much about bikes on this channel that that's pretty much what I made this channel, right? Like if I do something that isn't bike related, most people don't want to hear it, except people did really like my video about my sobriety and things. And so maybe, I'll talk about that stuff probably sometime. By the way, what was it? August 17th, 6 years sober. That's pretty awesome. I didn't even do a video on that, I don't think. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But yeah, 6 years of sobriety. Pretty awesome. So anyway, this is about my other channel, not about my sobriety. So my other channel is called Geeking Out with Shad. The reason I started that is I can put my other content down there. I've done a little bit of stuff about programming because that's what I do. I'm a software engineer. I've reviewed the GoPro Hero 11 on there, and of course I mix biking with the Hero 11, but I focus more on the capabilities of the camera, not my biking and things like that. Just went to the skate park, did some grinds, did some slow motion footage, just different types of camera functions so people could see. Pretty cool. And then the big thing on there that's kind of what people are really interested in is the EV stuff that I've been talking about. So I have a Chevrolet Bolt EUV, brand new 2022. Been talking about the range with it and the car itself and how it drives and all that stuff. People are way into watching that stuff. Done a few things about energy, peak oil, stuff like that. There's the controversial stuff. People are going to be super controversial when you start talking about that stuff. And I also am reviewing a Volkswagen ID4 Pro S dual motor. So I'm doing that kind of stuff over there. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, I probably will be doing more drone stuff over there because I don't have any yet because that stuff is on this channel, but I'll just redo some drone stuff over there and things like that. Probably, God, I haven't talked about the Pixel 6 nightmare that I had to deal with. Pixel 6 Pro nightmare. I'm not even using this phone, but I'll talk about that on that channel. And I'm very likely going to get a Pixel 7 Pro here soon. And I'll review that kind of stuff. So that's what that channel's for, the Geeking Out with Shad. I'm a total technology weenie and stuff like that. I'm actually that way with bikes too. I love all the little technical things about bikes and like all those details. But I'm a software engineer, full on geek. That's me. So Geeking Out with Shad, it'll be in the description if you're curious of checking that out. Cool. All right, let's talk about the next topic. This is the one that I'm most excited to talk about. Wolftooth just came out with a dropper post. And it is, I don't even know, I don't have it yet, but it looks really sweet. And there's some cool little engineering things they've done with it that no other dropper post company has. I really like Wolf Tooth. They are actually a Minnesota-based company, and I know some of the people that work there because we're all in the same community together. But the quality, the fact that their stuff is made in the USA, and so on and so forth is so nice. I actually the Salsa Fargo I got came with Truvative Stylo cranks, but the chainring on those cranks is steel, and I want to upgrade it to aluminum. And Wolf Tooth just makes that's where they got their start. They make the sweetest chain rings. I'm not gonna lie, they're just so cool. So I ordered the Wolf Tooth chain ring, and we'll be putting the aluminum chain ring on my Fargo. And I like to switch from the steel to aluminum because it's just a good way to save a little bit of weight, things like that. Now I'm talking about something that isn't the dropper post, but I'm getting their new dropper post. I'm not going to talk a whole ton about it because I actually don't know much about it, but when I get the post, you can absolutely expect a video about it on my channel, and I will do another dropper post install video. I'll have a couple of opportunities because I'm going to, and this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier, because I'm getting this new dropper post, which is pretty expensive, $370, something like that. So I'm getting the Wolf Tooth dropper post and a Wolf Tooth lever. So I think the two combined is over $400. So it's not a cheap deal, but it's a sweet post. That's why those things are going to go on my Esker Hey Duke, because that bike's just working its way to being just absolute top of the line. I love that bike. And then my fat bike will get the post off of my Esker Hey Duke. So one way or another, I'll probably just do the Wolf Tooth dropper post being installed on my Hey Duke because I think people will want to see that. And so on and so forth. And I even have a Jaguar cable already, brand new, sitting there. I was going to install that cable on my Salsa, but I was able to reuse the one on my Salsa. Now I have three Salsas. My Salsa Rustler. So I didn't use the Jaguar one, so now I have a brand new dropper post housing and cable that I can use too. So I'm all set to install that thing. I'm super stoked about it. Again, Wolf Tooth, they just make some sweet stuff, and I like their little tools and all that stuff. The NK system, those are the bar end tools I've talked about and have on my Salsa Rustler. Just super sweet, and I sometimes forget that I have tools in my handlebars. I have had something where I'm like, oh, I need an adjustment, and I've just absolutely, because they're hidden away and they're not there, I will go into my bag and use the tool out of my bag sometimes or something, and I'm like, then I realize, why don't I just use the tools in my handlebars? The NK system, I have used it, but I forget a lot of times. It's because it's hidden away. It's kind of funny, and probably because I have a bunch of different bikes, so it's like I'm just not used to grabbing tools out of the end of my handlebars. But the really nice thing about the NK system from Wolf Tooth is there's tire plugs in there. There's the little tool to install them, things like that, because I like to run tubeless. And then on the other end you have a chain tool, all this other stuff. So it's got everything you need right there, and it doesn't weigh that much. Super impressive. I'm talking a lot more about the dropper post and mostly talking about Wolf Tooth, so I should probably just say I'm going to talk about Wolf Tooth components instead. But no, really, I will do a full video on the dropper post, and then once I have it installed, obviously how well it works. And then the nice thing with my channel is you get the long-term reliability of something, like over time, 6 months from now, a year from now, is this post still holding up? Is it still as sweet as it was when it was new, right? So stick around and you'll get kind of the longer term review of things. I don't just do a single review and then be like, okay, I'm done, like a lot of channels do. But those channels, that's their thing. They probably get products for free. I don't get that yet. Someday maybe. Cool. Sweet. Let's talk about what's next. So, just like every year, it's fall. Snow's going to be on the ground soon. Hopefully, uh, I hate to say the word climate change because, again, it's one of those controversial subjects that always people get just. It shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be politicized, but it is. And I talk about that on my other channels sometimes. Like, why is this politicized? Why do people make such a big deal about something that shouldn't really be politicized? But anyway, because of that, the climate up here has really changed quite a bit, and it's not like it used to be. So I don't know what to expect in the wintertime anymore. Are we going to get snow? Are we going to get much snow? Last year we got some snow, but then it warmed up and it melted. Then we got snow, and then it was going up and down, and then the trails were icy. So then you want studs. When I don't like to ride with studs, because if you're in snow, you don't need studs. You only need studs for ice. But it seems like studs might be becoming a requirement here soon if the weather keeps doing this thing. But I'm really hoping we get an actual true winter, because fat biking is really fun, and I actually want to get some backcountry cross-country skis for up there, because there's not a lot of cross-country ski trails, but there's so many places. I snowshoe a little bit, but if I can backcountry ski, I can get around much better, and I actually want to go like on the Sagamore Mine Lake and backcountry ski around and things like that. I think it would be really fun, but we'll see. If I do that, I'll do videos. I'll put the backcountry ski stuff on this channel if I do get some and have an opportunity to do that, as well as fat biking, things like that. So yeah, we're going into winter. So what generally happens, and this happened last year, and those videos aren't as popular. People like to see my riding videos and things like that. They're not as into the bike geometry videos or the how to fix something, how do you put brake pads on, things like that. I mean, some people do like that stuff. Enough people like it to where I'm going to still do it. But I do notice the riding videos are definitely the ones people want to see. And I didn't mention anything about the airbag in this whole thing, because I wanted to talk about that, and I probably should have added that into my property update. My airbag is up there. We'll have to find some ideal conditions to be able to use it. So it'll probably, if I get to use it still this fall, I will, and I'll do some videos. My big plan for that is I really do need a roll-in ramp or something where I can get the proper amount of speed. And once I do that, then I will ride it a lot more. But right now, it's just getting speed to hit that thing. Like I said, I think I bit off more than I could chew, because it's a big airbag, so I need to get big air. And in order to get big air, you got to have a lot of speed. I don't have a problem wanting to get the big air. It's more that I need to get the speed so I can get the big air, because I've jumped the Ride brand airbag, and there's either a long run up so you can pedal your butt off and hit it, or they have a roll-in ramp whenever there's not enough run-up to get it. They set up scaffolding and a big roll-in ramp, and I've done that, and it's super fun because you can just roll in, maybe get in a pedal, and then launch and have plenty of time to get up there. I need something like that for my airbag, so I will be figuring that out. And until I do, you won't, you're probably wondering, well, he bought this airbag, spent all this money, and he's not riding it. Well, that's why. So I will definitely be riding that thing once I get the roll-in setup working. Jason, if you're watching my video, yeah, I need some help with that. I always pick on him because he knows how to build that stuff. If you don't know Jason Tufte, he actually did a lot of the building of stuff in the factory, which is no longer around. It was an indoor bike park up here. And then he built the current launch that's used for the Ride brand airbag, which is super sweet. I think he's built the last few ones, but this last one nailed it. super sweet launch. It's like the perfect radius, 6.5 feet high, so on and so forth. So yeah, if I can convince him to come help build me a Roland, that would be awesome. So there you have it. That's what's coming. Winter, not as much riding. I will definitely do some snow footage, fat biking in the snow, things like that. Probably some night riding. One of the things I want to see is with the Hero 11, they have new sensors in the new GoPro. So I'm very curious to know if riding at night I get better results with the lights, because if you've seen my footage before of riding at night, you really just see the middle high hot spot of the light and you don't see the peripheral. But in real life, when I'm riding, I see a much wider range, and for some reason the GoPro just makes it look like there's just one little hot spot, so it doesn't give you a true experience of what riding at night is like. So I'm gonna test the Hero 11 with my pretty bright lights. I've got the hangover outbound lighting hangover up top. I've got the Night Rider Duo down below, so plenty of light. Let's see how the GoPro works in that. It might just do the hotspot thing again, and it's kind of worthless. But if it actually does, if the new sensor allows me to see a little bit more on the sides, it will be better footage for you guys if that works out. So, yeah, sweet. I think I babbled a little past what I was going to end my video. Please like and subscribe. Peace.